Now, girls, scale drawings used to be in the Year 8 ratios topic. It sort of is a little bit in there, but they've moved it now to the Year 9 similarity topic. So, girls, scale drawings, they are a type of ratio, okay? And you often see them in real life. Let's say if you've seen building plans. Have you ever seen that? Building plans where, for example, something like this. You want to build a house, right? You'll see this down the bottom, 1 to 200. This one's got a 1 to 20. It means something. It's got a scale of 1 to 20. This one has a scale of 1 to 200, this diagram. What does that mean? This scale you'd probably understand, 1 centimetre to 10 metres. Do you know what that might mean? All right, good. On the paper is 10 metres in real life. Well, when you see something like this, 1 to 200, it just means that the real thing, sorry ladies, is how many times bigger? 200 times bigger. Sorry girls. Diagram. In a scale drawing, the diagram is either going to be a miniature of your object, like we saw on house plans. It's a miniature. Or in science or something, if they're showing you a picture of a bacteria or something like that, what you see on your page is an enlargement of something. So when you see a scale drawing, most of the time it's going to be a miniature of the real object, like house plans. Sometimes it is going to be an enlarged version of the object. And that tends to apply in science if we're doing a magnified view of something, okay? So lengths and distances on the diagram are in the same ratio as lengths and distances on the object. Now, it's really important the way a scale is written. So this is really important. We always write it in the following order. Scaled length, ... is to real length. What does scaled length mean? So it'll be in this order. This is how the scale is written on a scale drawing. Scaled length is the length on the diagram. So it's diagram compared to real life. We always put the diagram first and then the real life next. And it's just two numbers. 1 is to 200, for example, means the real thing is 200 times bigger. Over here, a scale of 1 to 500 just means that the real lengths are 500 times larger. And that's all you've got to think. Whatever you measure, the real thing's 500 times bigger. If you measure in millimeters, the real thing is 500 times what you just measured in millimeters. If you measure in centimeters, let's say 2 centimeters, the real thing is 500 times 2 centimeters. So don't say, oh, what the units are. It's whatever you measured. It's 500 times bigger. However, girls, sometimes you might see a scale drawn like this. So remember, the first number is what you see on the paper. The second number is real length. But a scale of 16 to 1 means that the paper drawing is bigger than the real thing. Or that real lengths are 16 times smaller than lengths on the paper. So the first one is the drawing and the second one is real. So you'll sometimes see a scale written like that. So here we go, girls. Question 1. It says that the following scaled lengths have been drawn using a scale of 1 to 50. What distance in meters does each one represent? Yes, you do need a ruler. And here we go, ladies. Well, let's go for 3. Look, yeah, we're just going to go to the nearest. Oh, yeah, it's definitely 3. So, girls, we go 3 centimeters in the diagram, on diagram, and it's 1 to 50. So the real thing, isn't it just 1 to 50 means the real thing is 50 times bigger. So the real length is what? 3 centimeters times 50, 150 centimeters. And that's all you've got to do. You've just got to look at it and say, I know that the real thing is 50 times bigger. It's as simple as that. So you can just go, all right, so that's an example. You can do the other one for homework. Now, okay, so you'll do the other one later. Girls, you'll do the other one later. You could change it to meters if you wanted. Okay, girls, next question. You'll do the other one for homework. Girls, I think that one you want to be recording to, I think it's like 4.9 or something, but you have a look at it. or 4.85, whatever. You decide what it is for homework. The next one. The scale on a map is 1:25,000. What distance in meters is represented by a scale length of 33 millimeters? So all you know is that the real thing is 25,000 times bigger. So 33 millimeters on your map or diagram equals 33 millimeters times 25,000 real distance. Does that make sense? Girls, 1:25,000 means the real distance is 25,000 times bigger. So, if you measured 33 millimeters on your map, the real distance is 33 millimeters times 25,000. Now, what answer is that, girls? 8? So that's in millimeters. Millimeters. But they want what distance? So, girls, no one goes around saying that measurement is 825,000 millimeters. Let's make it into something common sense. Meters. How many millimeters in a meter? Divide by what? 1,000 to get it into meters. So it's 825 meters. And you know what? I know they want the answer in meters, but can you make it into kilometers for me? You divide by 1,000 again? No, a kilo is 1,000. So in kilometers, it's 0.825 kilometers. So if I want to convert that to kilometers, I know that's the answer. But we're going one step further. It's 0.825 kilometers. Now, that makes a bit of common sense because it's a bit less than 1 kilometer. It's less than a kilometer. Okay? Measure P. You would measure PN.
What's PN?
Well, I would try and do it in millimeters. So what is the real length of wall PN? So you go PN on your floor plan is, now you decide what you want to measure it in. You think it's 6? Depends what your ruler's like. I can't tell. All right, let's just do 6. 6 centimeters. So the real length of PN, it's easy, girls. What do you just do? 6 centimeters times 200, which is 1,200 centimeters. No one walks around saying 1,200 centimeters, right? So what are you going to convert it into? Yeah, definitely into meters by dividing it by 100. So it's 12 meters. That's better. That's a good measurement. Something that you might, be able to imagine. 12 meters. Okay, girls? No. So, girls, the reason this fits into the topic is the diagram that's drawn is a similar figure to the real thing, but many times smaller. All right? It is. Shh. Girls, we've just got a couple more. The following scaled lengths have been drawn using a scale of 20:1. So that is your diagram and your real. So girls, is the real thing smaller or bigger? The real thing is smaller. So girls, it's always the diagram and the real distance second in the ratio. So girls, if we look here, so I'm reading about 7.1. What do you think, No? You know what? This is a bit weird. It's doing a bit of... These aren't looking... My camera... Yeah, but it... 7. Let's go for 7. So 7 centimeters or 70 millimeters. Let's go 70 millimeters on the drawing. Now the real one is... What? Do I multiply or divide by 20? Sorry, girls, I don't know what's going on with my focusing today. So the real distance is 20 times smaller. So I go real equals 70 millimeters divided by 20. What's that? Isn't it 3.5? So girls, that is a drawing of something that's only 3.5 millimeters long. It's a scaled drawing, so it's bigger. An example might be a flea. Here you go. There's a flea. So we're going to measure. So girls, measure the length of each of the enlarged images below. Then use the scale to calculate its true length. So girls, this is a flea. And the flea is, what, 100 times bigger than this or 100 times smaller? Thank goodness. Okay. Yeah, well. So girls, so the real flea is 100 times smaller. Off you go. Shh. I've got one. Shh. So what do we got, girls? I'm thinking 3.5. Yep. Can we do it in millimeters? Because the flea is going to be really small. So 35 millimeters on the drawing. That's the drawing. Equals, what am I going to do? So 35 millimeters divided by 100. The real flea is 100 times smaller because, remember, the first number is the drawing and the second one is the real length. The drawing is 100 times bigger. The real flea is 100 times smaller, or I could say the drawing is 100 times bigger. Because the ratio, because it's always the drawing first and the real thing second. 0.35? So yes, 0.35 watts, millimeters. So it's not even half a millimeter. You know what a millimeter is on your ruler? Okay. 4 to 3. 4 is the drawing, 3 is real. But I can't sit there like the microchip and say to you, what can you tell me about this microchip? Is it bigger or smaller than this? Smaller? How many times smaller? 3. But you can't tell me how many times smaller the walnut is unless which number needs to be 1. The second one. No, we want the second one to be 1. It doesn't matter. Look, we can do it either way. It doesn't matter. Let's say you decided you didn't know which one is supposed to be 1. Let's make the second number 1. What will you divide them both by? So 4 over 3 ... 3 over 3, which is 4 over 3 is to 1. That is telling me that the drawing is, that's 1 1/3. So the drawing, that's an equal sign. The drawing is 1 1/3 times bigger than the real thing. Do you get it? Or I could have done this. Divide them both by 4. What happens if someone, that's okay. So what happens if someone divides them by 4? I'm trying to show you, I don't want you stressing. It doesn't matter which way you did it. 1 is to 3/4. That means that the drawing is bigger than the real, or the real one is 3/4 the size of the drawing. And actually, I really like the second way. Because doesn't this tell me that the drawing, no, the real one, remember it's drawing, real. Real object is 3/4 the size of the drawing. Now, I like that. Girls, when you start with 4 to 3, you've got 2 options. Am I going to divide them both by 3 or divide them both by 4? And it doesn't matter. If you divide them both by 3, you get that the drawing is 1 1/3 times the size of the real. Now, it doesn't help us with this one because I have the drawing. I mean, it will, but if I look here, so you have to go back and think what you did before. We'll look in a minute. Or if you divide them both by 4, let's say you can't remember. Do I divide by 3? Do I divide by 4? If I divide by 4, this actually is better in this scenario because you get 1 is to 3/4. The real thing is 3/4 the size. Because if you had 1 to 20, the real thing is 20 times bigger. This one, the real thing is a fraction of the drawing. The real one is 3/4 of that. Just think what's 1 is to 20. The real one's 20 times bigger. The real one is 3/4 the size. So, girls, we'll do it both ways. Shh. Girls, what have we got? What can you read? 3.8. So the drawing is 3.8 centimeters. So what's the real length? 3/4 of that. What did you get? What did we get? 2 point. Now, that's if I ended it up this way. Now, let's say you were one of the people that divided by 3. Right? Go back and look at what you did with the flea, and it was 100 to 1 with the flea. What operation did you use with the flea? Did you multiply or divide by 100? So, let's say you've got your measurement here and you've done your ratio like this. Well, your measurement, my drawing is 3.8. What are you going to do? Multiply by 1 1/3 or divide by? So my real one is 3.8 divided by 1 1/3. I'll just write it as 4/3. Sorry. So this is my other option. So I'm going there or here. So my drawing is 3.8. I know my drawing is 1 1/3 times bigger than the real one. So I'll divide by 1 1/3 or 4/3 because it's easier to put in my calculator, you know. And you should get 2.85. Look, whichever way you do it, as long as the real walnut is smaller. And if you times by 1 1/3 and you've got a bigger walnut and you know, wait a sec, that's not right, divide.